Are you looking to join Cycling Men of Leisure for one of our rides in 2025? We've got a few things on our schedule.
That's right. We'll be attending Big Bragg and also the Bourbon Country Burn.
Big Bragg is in Georgia and Bourbon Country Burn's in Kentucky. Both places are going to be absolutely beautiful. We're going to have teams for both of those events. If you're looking to join us on our team, just send us a message. We'll tell you what to do.
So come on out. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
Well, it's time for Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure, the podcast for cyclists who understand that riding is not just about getting to the destination, but the experience along the way. Now, here are the original Cycling Men of Leisure, Adam and Michael.
Welcome to Road Adventures of Cycling Men of Leisure. I'm Adam, and across from me digitally is my good friend and co-host, Michael.
Hello, hello.
Well, hello there. How you been?
Been good. How about yourself?
Getting there, down to the big season. Not sure who likes it more. Adults, that they're off of work, children because Santa or a family member gives them a gift, or just spending time with family. But we are ramping up for it over here. What about you?
Yeah, we're getting there. I got a couple more things I have to take care of before the festivities begin, but we'll get her done.
You always do, I bet.
Absolutely. And if they don't get done, I wasn't planning on doing them anyway. So
That's right.
At least that's my story.
It's Festivus for the rest of us.
That's right. Can I air my grievances now? Oh, wait, that was last episode.
No, that was the last episode. So we have no rants of dissatisfaction now, but
not today. Maybe later, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next show. Who knows? I'm sure you'll come up with something.
If you are listening to this on the day it comes out, let me say Merry Christmas Eve.
That's right. We are Santa's making his way around the earth right now, delivering gifts. And if you want a little special gift, you can tune in and listen to us talk. So how nice is that?
Like in Christmas Vacation. Hey kids, I heard that Santa was across the North Pole.
Really, Clark?
You serious, Clark?
That year is an RV.
We watch that every year.
Classic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so you've got something a little special.
Well, it is the end of the year. This is going to be our last podcast of the season. And I thought it might be nice to kind of look back and maybe see some of the highlights from the year.
Okay.
And I thought we'd do it a different way. I thought we would do it. I've set up some questions, created some questions, and I thought we would just, I've given you the questions. So I thought we would just ask these questions back and forth to each other and come up with some of what I'm going to call the Cycling Men of Leisure's best and coolest of 2023.
All right.
Are you game?
I'm in.
Okay. Let me set the stage though. 2023, we did 4 organized rides, spring tune-up with Bragg. We did Big Bragg. We did the 50th anniversary Ragbrai, and we did the Bourbon Country Burn. So 4 organized rides. I think that equates out to what? 1,400 miles? That about right?
Yeah, about 1,400 on the organized rides.
On the organized. That's not counting any training or anything you did on your own. That is us together, organized rides. That's what we did. And that equates out to about 22 nights of us being on the road, away from home. Which my wife will tell you those are the best 22 nights of the year. But 22 nights away from home, cycling across everywhere.
I was going to ask you, does that count the time that we were in Tampa? No. Does that count?
These are just rides. This does not include
Disney.
the week we were in Tampa or the extended weekend that we were in Disney or anything like that. That's just rides.
Okay.
Okay. So here we go. Cycling Men of Leisure's best and coolest of 2023. First question to you, sir. Coolest jersey you saw or received on a ride this year?
I'm torn. They both have Cycling Men of Leisure on it, but I think I'm going to err to the one that we all got as the team at Big Brag.
Yeah.
The maroon Cycling Men of Leisure or Cycling Women of Leisure. So close second would be our yellow Cycling Men of Leisure jerseys.
Okay, cool. It's a good choice.
What about you?
Well, unlike you, I'm not self-promoting. So, although those were two cool jerseys, and I got to say the one that we got in Georgia with, the team name on it was pretty awesome, and having 25 members out there wearing it was cool. I'm going to go, however, with Ragbrai goat jersey.
That was a good one. That was a good jersey. I won't lie about that. But
it was not their primary jersey. They had a secondary jersey that had like a goat with a biking helmet on it, and there was like a chain ring around him, and it was like Ragbrai 50th goat, greatest of all time. It was a great jersey. I loved it. So
that was that material of when Ragbrai did On the Road Again. They offered two jerseys. They offered the regular one, and they offered this really sport, extreme sweat wicking, very soft material. And the goat had that as well. And what's funny is I bought the same size jersey, knowing it would be a little big on the regular Primal jersey. Well, that was very big, and when I would put all my nutrition for the day, it would hang below my seat, and every now and then I would stand up, it would get caught on my seat. I'm like, whoa. So
yeah, I've got to admit, I bought the regular size that I normally bought, and it was a little bit loose on me, looser than I normally would wear, but it was still great graphics. So that's going to be my choice.
Well, I think that was a good choice. And you're right. I was self-promoting. For those of you who received the Cycling Men and Cycling Women of Leisure jersey, I hope you're enjoying that, because I think that's one of the cool ones. So
that's right.
All right. Next question.
Best overall ride that we participated, organized ride that we participated in this year. What one did you like the best? Or you thought was the best?
I'm going to go with Big Brag. I always enjoy. Now, the first day of Big Brag, I didn't think that. I actually thought I had maybe woken up in hell, but
it's called a mountain. It's a small mountain, not even a big one.
Yeah. Well, when you live where I live, there's not mountains like that.
Hello, I live in the plains. There are no mountains out here. So anyway, go ahead.
But the rest of it, I mean, even that day that was tough. I mean, it's just tough because I don't get on my bike enough, but just the beauty of the lakes, going around the hairpin turns, all of that ride, the people that we met along the way, and people that we got to share our story with, and, going around a corner and someone, just a random person yelling out leisure. There was just something
pretty cool.
Some kind of a high of that, just of everything that you and I have, tried to put together and build, and where it's taken its crazy legs. And so just the support of that was exciting.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go a little different on this one as well. Loved Big Brag. I'm going to have to say, though, spring tune-up.
No, it's pretty cool. I mean,
and even it rained like a big chunk of it. It was a mud fest. It really was kind of just like this, gave you this kind of wet Woodstock feel for the whole weekend.
I just kept waiting for people to strip down naked and start running down the mud.
Passing around the brownies. Don't eat them. But yeah. I'm going to have to say that one was a fun experience. Now, it took me a long time to get there, to drive down there and stuff like that. But, I think it was a good, fun ride.
Yeah, no,
It was it had a different vibe. Let me put it that way. It had a different vibe, a different feeling.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm nothing against that, by the way. I had a great time, and I 12 hour jaunt. You know what, we got lucky with that weekend though. We the last night, people kept packing up and going home, and our friend lived in Marietta, like an hour away, and happened to be no traffic. So that really worked out in our favor. So
that was very nice. There was just a great, cool feeling about it. We were all camping. And the rides were nice. I mean, that one day we were racing to try to stay ahead of the rain, but it just had a good feel to it. So that's my choice.
All right. What would be your next question?
My next question is going to be best day of riding. Single best day of riding overall.
I am going to go Bourbon Burn.
Ooh, didn't see that one coming.
The day we rode with Adam and Kelly. That was, I always like
our friends from Kenosha.
That's right. Although there was some recent teasing on the social media, I was bragging about Michigan winning, and Adam said, Kelly's not going to like that, because Kelly's from the Ohio area. And I said, that's okay. I was polite in Kentucky, and I'll be polite now. I actually do like it. So, but no, riding with them was cool, and I believe we went to Georgetown that day and took some photos of, and so always meeting new people, riding with new people, and we got to hang out with them at camp afterwards and stuff, and so that'd be one of my favorites. So
yeah, that was a great day, and that actually had my favorite segment on the Bourbon Country Burn, that one where you turn off to your left and you've got, like, I don't know, probably close to a mile of just nice rollers through the countryside. But I'm going to say my best overall day of riding was, you've already brought it up, first day of Bragg.
That was your best day of riding?
I got no response. He was like, how do I respond to this? Well, now it was the single most challenging, I would say, one of the most challenging days, because we were in the foothills of the Appalachians and stuff like that. But from a scenic, beautiful country, the whole day we were riding around those lakes, through the mountains and the hills. I mean, the scenery was beautiful. And yeah, some of those long climbs were killers. But let me tell you, at the end of that day, you're like, wow, I did some riding today. I did some serious riding today, and it was awesome.
One thing about that day is the night before, Franklin met us in the pavilion that we were sleeping in, and
we weren't supposed to be in.
The police were there, and and there we were, and the officer was the coolest officer in the world. He's like, listen, I'm not going to say anything. He's like, you're not supposed to be here, but he's like, if you guys keep it down, I won't say anything. We're like, we're going to bed. See ya.
Well, here's the deal for people who don't know, because I don't think we ever talked about this. First day, get off the bus. They drop us off at the main area. And we did indoor camping, because we're flying and we can't bring our tents and all that. It's very inconvenient. So we heard that it was very close quarters on the indoor camping. It was like at a local church. And as we were coming in, I looked down, and right next to the main camp area across the creek was this big pavilion. And so we got off the bus and kind of got the things together. I was like, guys, there's a pavilion over there. Why don't we just go over there? And so we carted over there. Nobody else. There's picnic tables. There was even electricity that worked. We could plug things in. Beautiful. So we rolled out our sleeping bags there and all that. We went out to eat, came back later that evening. It was dark. Police officer shows up and informs us that we're not supposed to be there. And you're right. He was very cool. And we were just like, oh, we didn't know. We were just, we're ready to go to bed and all this. And Franklin shows up at about the same time. And he kind of said, these guys are okay. And the officer's like, well, I don't care. Just let you know, they're going to lock the gate for the vehicles. And it's like, well, we don't have a vehicle and I can just hand my bicycle over it. So it doesn't matter. So that was the experience that we had on the first night before we started riding.
And on that day, the funniest part is Franklin said, have you guys been training? And he had this very interesting smirk about him. and he said, you guys been training? And we're like, yeah, we had done a few rides. And I'll never forget at the end of that day, he said, well, what'd you boys think? I said,
we haven't been training.
We haven't been training. All I know is we showed up at that pool or whatever, indoor pool, and I thought to myself, oh man, I'm ready for a shower and some grub and a nap. But that was a good day. It was very, very beautiful, and those hairpin turns, I'd never ridden on something like that, and just going around the lake, and the water was still, and that was really neat. So I think you had a good one there.
Okay, next one. Coolest bicycle gadget you either saw, received, or looked into, thought about buying. Now I'll go ahead and answer, because this was an easy one for me. A couple episodes ago, we had our episode on Christmas gifts for the cyclist. And we threw out a whole bunch of ideas from the very practical to the very impractical. One of the ones that I came across, and I am really interested in this, is the Fiend folding helmet. No, not the Debrim. The Fiend folding helmet. And it's a bicycle helmet that actually collapses. Very interested in that. I think it's the coolest thing ever.
I actually went down a rabbit hole after that show and checked it out. And I didn't realize when you talked about folding that basically the curves around your ear is what actually folds up. And so the main structure of the helmet was still there. And the two curved parts went up into, inside. And so when you first talked about it, I was afraid of the structure, but after looking at it,
pull it out of my pocket. Here's my bike helmet.
It's like a bandana. Just push a button, zoop, back to the future.
But the crown middle section stays put. The side area actually slides in. It's kind of like a slide out on a camper thing. It just, slides out and expands.
That was cool. If you would have asked me prior to doing that show, I would have answered immediately the bike radar. I still believe in my heart that the bike radar is probably one of the best safety inventions for a cyclist in a while. But you intrigued me when you talked about the crash sensor. Haven't seen it, but on my list of next time I'm perusing on the internet and wasting time, which I'm pretty good at times, but that's something I'm interested in, because just the simple fact of having that, even because when I'm training here with my work schedule, I'm usually riding by myself. I go out and I stage the bike. If I can get off work 4 or 5 o'clock, rush out to our local metro park or state park, I'm usually by myself. So the idea of a crash sensor and being able to attach contact to that, I'm interested in that.
Okay.
Not sure how exciting that is for the subscribers, but you asked, and so I answered. So
okay. Hey, this is about what you thought was the best and coolest of this year. So that's what you think it is, and it's no wrong answer. Boring, maybe. No, I'm kidding. All right. Here's a good one.
All right.
Your best memory from the road. What is that one thing in your mind that stands out from being on the road cycling this year? And I know it's riding with me because that's awesome and cool, but let's dig a little deeper.
Oh man, you stole my answer.
That's a kind of a given. I tell you what, I'll give you a second. I will give you mine. Picture this, excuse me. I believe we were in Glidden, Iowa. I think it was Glidden. It may not have been, but I think it was Glidden. It was somewhere close to Glidden. And our buddy Joe wanted to go straight, kind of cut off from going downtown. And it's like, no, we're going to go downtown. So we cut off. And of course we were on our bike, we were walking, and we were in the middle of Main Street. And all of a sudden we heard somebody shout at us. And it was Matt, executive director from Ragbrai, called us out on the street, came over and talked to us.
And we took a picture.
Cool. And we took a picture. And of all the thousands of people coming by, he recognized us. He called us out. He came over and said hello. That was just an awesome, cool thing.
Man, I'm still drawing a blank. But I think one of the things that I really enjoyed was meeting the unofficial mayor of Ragbrai.
Oh, that was a fun, interesting thing. Yeah.
That's got me in trouble on the show because I misspoke about e-bikes, but I then Reed made me reintroduce myself to e-bikes and learning about class 1, 2, and 3. But
wait a minute, you're talking a lot about e-bike. You didn't ask Santa for an e-bike, did you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
No. Although there was a funny post on the Ragbrai social media post today where a guy said, "Hey, I'm looking for a playlist for my music for Ragbrai. I'm not looking for any answers from any of you e-bikers right now, but
they might have some groovy music. You never know."
Yeah, that's right. No, that was interesting because of her story, and then I asked her about her profession and what she did, and traditionally with her profession not supposed to be known, and so she didn't advertise it. Very respected profession, by the way. And her friends actually stole a picture off of her Facebook page and got shirts made up and jerseys that said Mayor of Ragbrai, and so very interesting story. So check out one of our shows right around July and you can hear that whole story. But yeah, anyways, so I'm going to go with meeting the unofficial mayor of Ragbrai.
That was pretty cool. And we learned a lot about e-bikes, so very nice. All right. You ready for another one?
I'm ready.
Okay, we talked about your best day of riding. I want to know, what is the best day of riding that you were happy to end? Basically, what I'm asking is, what was your worst day of riding?
On behalf of Adam
and Michael,
we both want to say thank you
for your support.
I'm gonna go with like day 5 or day 4 of Ragbrai. It was truthfully the day I was worried about you. I had somehow got separated from you and got 45 minutes ahead of you. It was hot. It was 90 something miles. It didn't seem like it ever was going to end. I pulled over on the side of the road thinking I was going to wait for you. And then I got worried that I had missed you because of, it's easy to do with people passing by. And then when I saw you, I said, "Hey, you want to take a break?" And you said, "Yeah, I need a break." And then we both kind of like were leaning up against that fence. And by that day we were done. There might have been a special celebration in my head of confetti exploding, like, oh my gosh, thankfully we're done with today. So
I'm going to have to say that same day.
Yeah.
That was a day that, I realized something very important that day. Do not change up your routine, or certainly don't change it up in the middle of a week on a long ride.
Yeah.
That was a morning. I generally always drink a soda in the morning. It's just something I do. I'm not a coffee drinker. I drink a soda. That gets me going. I didn't drink one that day. And it was hot, but I think that really did me in. Because then as soon as I got someplace and got the soda, I was feeling better. But that was a rough day for me. Really rough. It was 90, 8 degrees or something. It was a long mile day. It was just, middle of the week. So we'd already had several days of riding. So I was happy to have that one over. And then, is that the one where we ended up in Des Moines?
I almost want to say it was a day coming out of Des Moines, honestly.
Okay. Anyway, it was happy to have that one over.
Yeah, that was I believe it was coming out of Des Moines. Um, yeah, because coming into Des Moines wasn't that a shorter ride,
Yes.
and then the next day was long, and so um, it was just hot and long, and it was not my favorite day. But anyways, yeah, that would
Cool.
be it.
Okay. Here's a good one. The
All
neatest
right.
or most interesting person you met this year on a ride.
Hmm.
I actually have two, and I don't know which one to use. The two that come to mind, the first one is the couple from Denmark on the tandem bike.
Yeah.
We saw starting on the first day, they had a little, flag of Denmark on the back of their thing. We ran into them in Des Moines. We were in line right next to them. We had a nice long conversation with them. That type of thing. They were a great couple to talk to, and it was really interesting to get to experience that. The other one that I'm going to say, Stephen Fant, I think is his last name, Fante. You remember that one? Apparently
Gosh,
not.
no, I feel guilty, but
He is the brand ambassador for Limestone Branch.
oh,
Bourbon Country Burn. He was sitting there. We came over and talked to him, and he was the most enjoyable person to listen to because he has kind of that Southern accent, and he was
yeah.
telling us about he used to be in coffee, and then he was in wine, and now he's in bourbons and whiskeys, and he's telling us a story about trying to find this old spring that they used to use
With the Jeep story.
yeah, and he was enjoyable to listen to. He was a great storyteller. It was a lot of fun. So
I didn't realize I could use a non-rider.
I
I'm
said
gonna
most interesting or neatest person you met on a ride. Doesn't necessarily mean on the road.
I'm gonna go with Katie Kraus
Oh, solid. Okay. Yeah.
because I was racking my brain with a rider because I've met a lot of wonderful riders across the way, and I didn't want to offend some.
And you've
So
already used the mayor of Ragbrai, so you couldn't go back to that one. So
no, but I'm gonna go with Katie. We interviewed Katie, and
twice.
she gave us a story of, if you didn't get to hear that, where how Ragbrai came, how a town is selected, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we interviewed her again to find out the aftermath of Ragbrai going through. So, very wonderful woman. I am so sorry that we didn't meet her in person. But just having
Yeah.
her, you and I, if no one knows, we record the show on Zoom when we're not in the near vicinity of each other, and so we actually had her on as a Zoom guest, and we got to see her face while recording, and so she showed us some pictures and some books and stuff, and so just her enthusiasm, I really appreciated, and I'm sorry that we didn't see her in person. So I'll go with Katie Kraus.
Good choice. Okay. 22 nights we spent away from home on organized bike rides. Best camp spot.
Marriott. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
And I'm using camp loosely. I mean, best place we spent the night.
I will say that because we've done primitive camping mostly, unless we fly into Big Bragg, we've kind of took a Hail Mary last year and we did indoor camping, which is normally not our style. Normally we're the ones out there, and both of us were scouts, and so we're grinning and bearing it. But when you're flying, you gotta pick what you're gonna fly with.
Limited baggage.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna stick with camping. Although we did have some nice hotel rooms this year. When you lugged on your back across 6 states your RV, that was that was pretty decent camping there. We had air conditioning and refrigerator.
Okay, yeah.
Is that glamping or camping? I don't know.
Well, we didn't hook up the water. So we're going to call it camping, not
All
glamping,
right.
because we didn't hook up the water. We hooked up the electricity and all that other stuff and that kind of thing. So Yeah. Okay, cool. So the Bourbon Country Burn, Michael's camper.
A close second would be our pavilion in Georgia, but as far as honestly, when we did the pavilion in Georgia, it reminded me when I was a scout, because we didn't always have tents. We just whip out the sleeping bags and look under the stars. But
Brush.
But you bringing the camper to Bourbon Country Burn, yeah, that felt like camping 2.0. So,
well, good. Glad you enjoyed it. Happy to do it. I'm going to go down this route. The night that I got stuck with my head underneath a water fountain. There wasn't many places. We crammed into this little place. I kind of got shoved over. There's a water fountain right above me. Now, I say that because I did not spend the night in that place.
But you set up your camp there.
I set up my camp there, but then an hour later, I took my camp down and we went and spent the night in Bragg's snooze box.
Franklin's got a snooze box, and that's
right.
Okay. Yes,
it just worked out.
It worked out
that we got the worst possible place. Literally, my head would have been hitting into the thing. It happened to be a night that these guys had to leave early. They were in the snooze box. Franklin was like, "It's open." So he came and he found us and he said, "Hey, would you guys be interested in camping in there for a night?" And we were like, "Well, let's see. My head is in this underneath this water fountain. Absolutely." So I'm going to say that our night in the snooze box was the best night of camping. It was great. Air conditioning, electricity. Our camper was nice, but guess what? I didn't have to haul the snooze box anywhere.
In the morning, everyone kept saying, "What happened to you guys last night? Where were you last night?" It's like, well, anyway, so, all right.
Well, what I had done is I was worried somebody was going to try to fill their water bottles, and my sleeping bag and everything was right below it. And if they tried to do it, water was going to spill over and get all over it. So I went back in the kitchen and I found this empty, large, tin can that had the lid off of it. So I went over and I stuck it over the top of the water fountain where the water comes out, try to make people think it was out of order. And some lady that was a couple people down was sitting there watching me. She's like, "I know what you're doing." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but I don't want to, sleep in water or whatever." And so she was not around when we packed up and left, but I took that tin can, I went over and I put it right next to her camping spot. And the guy next to me is like, "What's going on?" And it's like, she'll know what I mean. We ran into her the next day and she made a comment about how she got the can. So,
all right, next.
All right. Coolest activity you experienced or participated in? It maybe was on the road, maybe wasn't on the road. It just needs to be something with our organized rides related.
Hey, Adam, I need a Coke.
Sounds good. We'll be back after a quick break. So I'm going to go with, while we were at Bourbon Country Burn, we knew that we were going to drive out to Buffalo Trace. If no one has been to Buffalo Trace, they historically, normally, almost every day, I think every day, do a bottle release. And we had found a website that said that most likely it was going to be Blanton's or E.H. Taylor. And when we got there, Blanton's was the bottle release. While going through the line, they take your license, they give you a magic RFID wristband, so you can actually, only 3 months you're on a list that you can't buy. And we were there. I believe his name was Reginald, or I believe Reggie. And he said, "Do you guys want to check out to see if there's a tour available?" Well, we had been on the website for weeks on end on our way down, and it said there was no tours available. And we're like, "Well, yeah, but we were told they're sold out." He said, "Well, let's just check into it." And the lady's like, "I've got 11 o'clock if you want 11 o'clock. And so having that surprise of being able to do the tour, go along with the tasting and find out all the history of Buffalo Trace was probably one of the coolest. That's something we weren't able to do last year. So
I agree. That was a fun experience. I mean, only one thing would have made it better.
if Freddie would have been our tour guide.
Exactly, yes. But he wasn't working that day, so that's okay.
I wonder if that guy believed me when I said we're going to see Freddie tonight. So
he probably just thought, "Oh, this guy's just, making stuff up. You don't know who Freddie is." But yeah, we were actually at an event that Freddie was hosting, I guess, that night about
VIP
bourbon
tastings.
Yes, so I'm going to go with. I had a couple, but this one that sticks out most: Bourbon Country Burn. I don't remember the name of the distillery. You'll have to help me out. But we were in talking with these guys at the distillery. And we were in there like the basement area. And there's all these barrels just sitting there. And they had some tasting set up. And we were tasting a couple. And you made some mention of something. And basically, I don't know how the conversation wound up. But it wound up him going over, taking the cork out of a barrel and letting you use the barrel thief tool to draw whiskey out of the barrel, and you put it in shot glasses, and we drank, we had a tasting right out of the barrel, and you were pouring it with the barrel thief, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like this long tube that they stick in the barrel, and they're able to, it basically works off suction, and they're able to pull out liquor to, try it. I mean, wine people do it too, to try it, see where it's at in the aging process, that kind of thing. That was just really cool.
That was at Bourbon 30.
Bourbon, yes, it was. So in Georgetown.
And that was straight from the barrel, bourbon. And I wasn't sure what to expect, because normally right from the barrel is pretty toasty. And that was actually really nice. I mean, he had told us it was a blend, but still coming right from the barrel, I expected it to be pretty hot. And that was cool.
It was pretty good.
I think you got a picture of me holding the.
Yeah, I do. Of you like holding the thing. Yeah. So that was a really neat thing to actually see you pulling that stuff out of there. But I don't know how long it had been in the barrel, but it was a decent drink. Okay. Best non-road moment memory. So nothing on the road. This would have to be before, after, going, or coming back from a ride. Best memory, go. And by the way, I did give him the questions before, so I'm not just putting him on the spot.
I gotta say, because of the time of the year, and because of having more relaxation time, I'm going to go with Bourbon Country Burn around the campfire, when we all were just kind of telling stories and listen to different people's, rides and some of their stories. And then people were asking the origin of how we all started, how you and I started this whole project. And just
that was good.
Wasting the night away.
That was a great evening. We had some good bourbon. We had a cigar, and we're just all sitting around. Several of them were people that we've known for a couple of years and did other rides with, and there were some new people that we had just met. You're right. That was a good memory. Okay.
What about you?
Mine wasn't a single moment. I think mine was brag. And just all the times that we were just in random places out. I specifically remember one town, and I don't remember where it was at. We ate pizza that night. And we were just like coming out of this pizza place, and we started walking across the street, and people were, yelling leisure. And just all the time throughout the rides that people were recognizing who we were. That was just kind of cool, because I mean, we didn't start this thing to gain a following or anything like that, but so many people recognized who we were and would just, be yelling leisure on the road or when we were walking around town or whatever. That was really cool.
It's my debrim, but when I went riding, just want you to know.
Yeah, they were yelling, but it wasn't at your debrim, but it wasn't, we'll just leave it at that.
No, that is cool. I mean, when we went to the route announcement party for Ragbrai, and the gentleman came up to us and said, I mean, we didn't have shirts on. We didn't have
No.
anything. We were kind of treading the water because we knew we were going to interview Matt, and the next day, and we were just trying to figure out our marching orders of where to go to meet him to do the interview. And the gentleman said, are you guys the guys from Cycling Men of Leisure? I love your show. Thank you for all the work that you've done and helping me, and you give me ideas to pack. And that was a moment that was really cool. So,
that was the first time that anybody had ever came up and recognized us. So it was kind of surreal. It's like, wow.
Yep.
All right. The most interesting thing you saw on the road.
Hey, Michael, I need a coffee.
Okay, we'll be back right after this message.
The world's largest. Oh no, I didn't say anything like that.
Can't use a popcorn ball. That was from a couple of years ago.
Best thing I saw on the road.
Yes, I've got a good one for this.
I'm drawing a blank, so you go ahead.
I'm going to say the prison tower and execution area in Greensboro, Georgia. Remember, we went and they had this big thing that looked like a medieval tower.
Yeah.
And you read the thing, and it was actually the county, like their first county jail. It looked very medieval. You'd go in and they have the heavy bars, but they actually had a room where they used to hang convicts.
Yes, that was the stop where the radio DJ was there, and they were passing out those sunglasses. So
that was just the most interesting, weird, bizarre thing. I mean, it was just it sat there. It was literally this tower thing. There was cells downstairs. You go upstairs, there were cells, but off to the side downstairs, there was actually a room that had been used in the past as where they would execute apparently the worst of the worst of Greensboro.
You know, I'm gonna say Brazelton. When we were in Brazelton, there was that flea market, and I kind of got to see you in your heyday because there was license plates. and I mean, we saw a lot of really neat stuff. I mean, Iowa was pretty much the same, or many things of the same. Except I had been in Des Moines in the winter. It was not, I mean, I was surprised that it wasn't 0 degrees when we were there in the summer, but just kidding.
A little different.
Course. Yeah. But on a serious note, we were in that flea market and we had our whole team and we were doing a chocolate and wine walk and just kind of, introducing, and people were telling stories. And I look around and you're like, I'll be right back, you said. And I thought, okay, well, maybe he's got to go to the bathroom or something or whatever. And I look up and you're like a kid. There was these hanging license plates. There was probably a couple hundred of them. And you're looking at them, and the guy at the end said, "You interested in this and this?" And you said something like, "How much?" And you turned around, and on the way out, I said, "You seemed interested." And you're like, "Yeah, not for those prices." So it was just kind of funny.
Yeah, but, I do collect license plates. I got a lot of them hanging up in my garage, and I mean, he had some good ones, but the important thing to do is when you go shopping for anything, know what the market will bear. Because especially at like flea markets, antique stores, they're going on. A lot of times they go off the fact that it's like you see it, you want it, you don't really know what the price should be. So, but he was very proud of his license plates, and he had some good ones. But I didn't want to trek it across the state of Georgia.
There were, I mean, and as far as like on the road, it's just that's a hard one for me because, Rutledge, the sunflower farm, and that was interesting. And then Iowa, it's just hard.
Iowa. All right. That's fair enough. Here's one. One event or time this last year, 2023, that you felt the cycling gods were against you.
Hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and tell mine, if you don't mind.
You go first.
We were going to Bourbon Country Burn. I live in Kansas. It's in Kentucky. Quite a long drive. I had to work that day, so I didn't get left really early. So I was driving later at night and into the early hours of the next morning. I was on the border of Indiana and Illinois.
There's your problem.
Well,
Just kidding.
maybe. And I stopped at like this, I think it was called like the Roadrunner or something. It was a convenience store.
Was there a wild coyote next to it? Just kidding.
Well, might have been some of that involved, but it's late. I don't know, probably 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop here. I needed gas, got some gas and was going to get a drink. Well, I put my card in like I would normally do, whatever, do all that. And it said, take your card. Wouldn't give me my card back. So I said, okay, I'll just finish filling up. Filled up my card, put everything down, still wouldn't give me my card. I was like, what? I mean, it's a gas pump. I mean, you just pull the card out, but it wouldn't give me the card back. So finally I went in and I was like, went up to the lady. Of course, there's nobody else in there. And I was like, I've got a really, really dumb question to ask you. And it was a younger gal. And I said, how do I get my credit card out of your gas pump? And she kind of looked at me funny. And I was like, no, really, I'm serious. I put my credit card in, paid for my gas, got my gas, but I cannot get it back out. And she came out and she did it. They wound up calling like a local couple that apparently is the gas pump technicians or something. I don't know. They came out and they're like looking at it and trying all sorts of things. And needless to say, 45 minutes later or so, they're still at the gas pump trying to get my credit card out. And finally, I'm just like, tell you what, I'm not going to waste any more time here. I just said, you know what? Tell the manager to destroy my credit card when and if you ever get it out of the machine. I'll just cancel it. And so I took off down the road, canceled my credit card immediately. And I could have got it out, but they wouldn't have liked my mechanism for getting it out. So I went without that. Fortunately, I had other credit cards, so it wasn't a big deal. But it was just like, seriously, late at night, I want to get to Kentucky, and my credit card's stuck in the machine.
He tried borrowing money from me all weekend about something about his credit card wouldn't work. Or
I tried getting you to buy everything that week, and you still didn't. I gave you the sob story. You didn't buy it.
I have a minor and a major. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
The minor is when I got a flat tire in Rutledge. Now, the reason why I say that's minor is because at least I got to Rutledge. I made it from work to our friend Juan's house, and then I left Juan's house and went to the farm. And when I got to the farm, I literally backed up into the red clay mud mess, and I thought, man, I just don't have any traction. And so I got out.
You just don't have a tire.
I'm like, well, there's your sign. But that wasn't too bad because I jacked it up and we went into town. But the major one was, picture the memory here.
Okay.
We finished Big Bragg. Armando had to hit the road, gave us our bike boxes. Yep. We tear down the bikes. We find a pretty cool place for dinner. We come back, and I think we hit the hay around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And we knew that our shuttle driver was supposed to be there at 4:30 in the morning to take us to the airport. And that was a day where I just felt the world was against us. We went downstairs. We thought, we are in. We're with the flight crew. And sure enough, you and I showed up first, ironically. We were trying to be respectable to the Delta flight crew because we had bike boxes, all of our luggage that we fly with, which both of us had 2 big bags at least, and then some backpacks. And so we knew we were heavy loaded. So we were going to go down early. And lady at the counter said, "Can I help you?" And we said, "Well, we're waiting for the shuttle driver." She said, "Yep, he'll be here any minute." And one Delta pilot shows up, and the second Delta pilot shows up, and 2 flight attendants show up. Now, all 6 of us are standing outside, and no one can find the keys to the transit van. At least if we had that, we could have loaded up, and we weren't sure who was going to take us to the airport.
They weren't sure who was going to take us to the airport after a while.
The shuttle driver pulls up in a taxi cab, and I wish I was lying. By the way, not as a passenger. He was driving the taxi cab, and he jumps out and says, "I'm sorry, I'm late. I was late on one of my runs." So this guy was not only the shuttle driver for the hotel, but he was moonlighting as a taxi cab driver. So we get to loading up, and I'm looking at my GPS, and I'm looking at the airport, and being a guy who flies a lot, I just knew we weren't going to make that first flight. And the pilot said, "I won't leave without you." And so I thought we were good.
We're in.
Yeah, we thought we were in. Except when we got there.
Pilot doesn't run the show.
No, TSA said, "You guys can't get that flight." So it was a very stressful moment where I felt like the cycling gods were not with us. It was jumping on the phone, trying to reschedule different flights. I got mine really quick, and you did not have the same success that I did. You were on standby. And so we were looking how long, if you didn't make that first flight, you weren't going to get home until like 3 a.m. the next morning, or that night, but it would be 3 a.m. and you had to work.
Right.
And so I remember we tease and joke each other and poke fun at each other, but I was feeling pretty bad when they called me up to board the plane, and I don't know how first class it was. I mean, it's a regional jet. There's 2 seats up in front, and so 2 or 4, I forget. But I was up there, and they had bumped me up there, and I was like, man, if he doesn't get home. It was also, by the way, your wedding anniversary.
It added a little more stress.
And so, and then when you came on the plane, I felt much better. Although then you got stuck in Atlanta.
Yeah,
so.
I missed my Atlanta flight, but come on, let's tell the real story. I get on the plane. You were not feeling that bad about me, because I get on the plane, and he's sitting there in first class with his already Woodford Reserve. Did not look like he was concerned about my well-being at all. And
That's
then
not
as
true.
I walk by, he just kind of tips his glass at me and is like, you
see you later, chump.
Riff-raff, move on to the back of the plane.
Could you please get to the back? We gotta go. We gotta
Curtis,
go.
Would you escort him back to his seat? Yeah, that was I still didn't get home till like midnight, but that was a rough day.
Well, needless to say, being a guy who doesn't take it laying down, I then wrote a very, very stern and businesslike email, and wouldn't you know it, got a bunch of Bonvoy points. So I'm not sure about the shuttle driver, but we're going to be pretty good for 2024. So
and I like it when you get Bonvoy points, because that has in fact helped me on many occasions. So I don't mind at all. What I think the best part of that, the funniest part of that story is when we get there, the driver, who was in a full outfit from the hotel, driving this cab, when he hops out, and he's expecting to get a tip. He kind of holding his hand out like, I'm going to tip you for me missing my flight. Yeah, no.
Here's a tip.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy. Yeah, that was a good one. Okay. I think one more.
All right.
Going to go non-cycling. You ready?
I'm ready.
Best bourbon you tried for the first time this year.
This one is really simple for me, because it created not only a memory, it not only was able to force me to buy something that I normally would not have purchased before. But you and I did an interview with Phil Collin from Phil Talks Whiskey. He was the one putting the VIP tastings on at the Bourbon Country Burn. We talked to him for a while, and you pinned him at the very end with the proverbial, of all the bourbons, what would be the best one? And he's like, "Oh," he said, that's a hard question. That's a hard one. He said, but you know what I would get? I would go get that Angel's Envy bottle finished, rye finished in rum casks, and I bought that. It's something I would never normally buy. $100 bottle, and I bought that and brought it to Bourbon Country Burn, and you and I enjoyed it there, which was really good. And then
it was fantastic.
We took one out of Freddie Johnson's playbook, which was signing the bottle, and so mine is signed. You and I both signed it the day that we shared it, and it'll stay that way until I share it with you again. So I think that would be there.
Yeah, that was well, see, it worked out well, me putting him on the spot. We got a good bourbon choice or selection to try. So that was a good one. I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to that one. I'm going to go yet again another direction.
Of course you are. I'm just kidding.
I tried something different, and this was off of a recommendation. I had a class reunion a few months ago.
Okay.
And one of the guys in my class, we were good friends in high school, and we got to talking about bourbon and whiskeys and things of that nature. And he gave me this one. So I wasn't able to find it here locally, but I did find it at one of the places that I will order offline. Nulu.
Oh, I've heard of Nulu.
It's a bourbon whiskey. And so
nice.
I tried it, and it was actually really good. I was kind of impressed. So
without giving too much away here of your personal life, you actually took me to, is it Lucas?
Lucas Liquors, yes.
But the one that was a state away from you. And I believe they had the Nula there.
Yes. Well, when I went to buy it, they didn't have it. So
gotcha.
But he had given me the suggestion. It's like, oh yeah, I'll check it out. And I wanted to be respectful of his, of his thing. And yeah, I didn't want it to be one of those, oh yeah, I'll check it out. And then I never do. So it's like, oh, I ordered it, got it, tried it, was kind of impressed with it. So, I mean, it's a little higher proof than what I normally drink, but let the ice settle a little bit, and it was in good shape because it's like 118 proof somewhere in that area. So.
Oh, that'll put hair on your chest there.
Yeah. So
I did have an employee today say to me, he said, the rumor is that you like bourbon. And I said, yeah, I do.
The rumor.
And he said, have you ever had Buffalo Trace? And I thought he was joking with me for a second. And I said, yeah, I have. Yeah. And he said, isn't that good? He says, so hard to find. And I said, it used to not be hard to find. I said, but then everyone started gobbling them up and storing them at their houses. And he's
how many bottles you got there?
Hey.
Buffalo Trace? Never heard of it.
But, and then of course, Jeff, my employee, Jeff, and more than an employee, he's become a friend. He helped us out in Ragbrai, gave us a weather alert. He was in Michigan and said, you boys better find someplace quick. I think that's a story that you asked me where the cycling gods were not with us. I would say that was a day that the cycling gods were definitely with us.
That was going to be my final question. What was the luckiest event or thing that you experienced on a ride? And I'm going to have to agree with you on this one.
I think we could dual tell the story. I don't think there's anything that tops it, luckily wise. I mean, we had God, what town was that? It was the night that we were in Coralville, and we came in, and our charter had said you're going to go to this green space to camp out. And
now I have a question.
Yeah.
Where I'm from in the plains of this great country, when we use the term green space, to me, that means, some grass, some trees, a park-like environment. Do you guys have the same kind of concept of green space in Michigan?
I I'm not saying this to be difficult. I didn't even know what green space was when our charter would say we're going to go to this green space. I actually had to ask you what green space was.
Okay.
And I think it's because of the overpopulace of where I live. I mean, every piece of property here is taken by something. I mean, so I did not know what green space was at the time.
We'll move out to Kansas. We've got a lot of, but out here, green space is like areas that have been left natural, or they've got trees, a park-like area, things like that. So he said, we are going to be going to a green space.
And, you know, it is not a secret that we talked about hotels and that, excuse me, that we had some hotels along the way. We had a hotel the first night, and then we ended up getting, usually we get a hotel halfway through the week. And so when we showed up at this quote unquote green space, it was more like a dirt field.
No shade, no real grass. The grass that was there was like crispy. It was on a hill. It was, not pleasant.
The sun was beating down on us, and we kind of all looked at each other and said, man, this would have been a good night to have a hotel. Well, our good buddy had already set up his tent, because he's an extremely strong rider and had already been there and probably showered and whipped out the satellite phone and called home and did some stock trading and everything. But he said, I would be in for that. I'll break down camp, because you and I had not set up our tents yet.
No, we hadn't, because we were like looking at the situation, and we've hung out enough and we're good enough friends that we're in that situation where we can kind of just look at each other and go, neither of us want to be here. We don't think this is a good idea. So I don't know if it was you or him brought up the idea of a hotel. And I was like, well, I don't know if there's anything available, but you know what? Let me see what I can find.
So in the meantime, I get this call, and at the first, I looked down and I saw who it was, and I thought, man, this is just not a good time to take a phone call. But didn't want to be rude, so I took a call, and it was Jeff, who was back in Michigan, and he said, you guys are about to get hammered. Excuse me. He said, you're about to get hammered with weather. I said, what are you talking about? And he said, Adam, he said, it is bad. You got to get somewhere. So you go on to Expedia?
I was on, as you're taking the call, I'm already on Expedia, because at that time it was still clear skies.
Yeah.
It really didn't look bad. And I was doing a Hail Mary because I didn't figure there'd be anything available. So I'm on Expedia. You take this call. I'm trying to track down a hotel that's not, in the next town over.
So my friend Jeff says, you better take cover. He's always a guy who's watching the weather. And because I was there, he was just kind of being my weather watcher at home. And so he said, you better get somewhere fast. So long story short, you find this room in Expedia. And we think, great. Joe whips down camp in minutes, throws the tent, because we know the next day we're going to be going to our respective homes. And at this point in time, we do start to see clouds start rolling in. Yeah, it was starting to get dark.
And they're starting to look threatening.
So we go over to this, I don't know, Days Inn, I think. And the lady says to you as you go to check in, oh, I'm so sorry. I know they said we had a room, but we don't have a room. And you and I kind of give each other that look of, you got to be kidding me. And Joe is feeling the same way. And now we're like, what the heck are we going to do now? And so this guy in the lobby, he goes, are you guys looking for a room? And a part of us thought he was messing with us. And then a part of us was like,
yeah, we walked in here. They just told us we don't have a room. Yes, we're looking for a room.
And he goes, well, I actually have a room. And if he listens to this, please don't take this the wrong way. But he said, it's like 15, 20 minutes away. And I said, well, what's it called? And he said, it's a Days Inn Plus. And to be honest, I'd never heard of a Days Inn Plus, but doesn't matter. Who cares?
Just looking for a room.
Just looking for a room. And now we're trying to figure out how to transport this room. You guys jump on the phone while you're jumping on the phone to see if you can transfer the room from his name to your name. I'm looking up directions and I'm looking at it going, it's 3 miles away, if that. We're on bicycles. And when we need to, we can pedal pretty darn fast.
Oh, yeah.
And so you set up the room. Everything's all set, but now we got to give this guy money. And so he takes Venmo. So I Venmo him the money. You guys paid me later, but and we're off. We're on our way. And sure enough, we walked in and we got the room. We ended up having, I think, 2 full beds and then like a pull-out couch, and it was like perfect for
perfect size
3 guys.
But
so
the beauty of it was we get there and it's like, okay, cool. We're inside. We're not in the blazing heat. Looks like a storm's coming in. We all 3, go ahead, get showered, all that kind of stuff. It's like, let's go across the street and go eat at, I don't know, there was a steakhouse or something there. And literally as we are going and as the doors are sliding open, the tornado sirens start going off.
Oh yeah. I mean, we
literally
walked out and the doors open up and it's
and the rain is coming sideways and Joe is like, oh, what is this? Because he's not familiar with tornadoes, and it's like, I'm like, oh, hey, let's pull up a chair and watch a show. And
well, they had a bar, but unfortunately they had 1 employee. She was not only checking people in, but she was the bartender, and she never made it over. And we finally, I think it was Lone Star. And
yeah,
no,
it was like a block away.
Yeah, and so we walked over there and of course had a beautiful meal. Everything was great. We were kind of giggling and laughing, watching some of the social media posts about the concert being canceled and all that. But then, oh man, mercy buckets! It opened. We couldn't get out of there. So we sat in the lobby for a while, and finally we made a break for it. But I think that'd be the day that the cycling gods were with us. So
definitely someone was looking out for us that day. Yeah, we lucked out, missed all the severe weather, had a nice, dry, warm place to sleep. So sometimes you just get lucky, and that was it.
That was the day I gave the baggage gentleman some bourbon and cigars.
Oh, you did? Well, it was the last night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the last night of the ride. The next day we were going to go in and finish the ride, and you shared some of your bourbon and gave him cigars, and it's like, hey guys, thanks, appreciate it. So yeah.
That's been a good year. Been a good year for sure. So
it has. So that's all the questions I had. So that is kind of a wrap up of Cycling Men of Leisure's best and coolest of 2023. Kind of some of our highlight memories from the road and other things. And it was a good year. And as anybody who listens to the show knows, we've already made the commitment to host a team and go back to Bragg this year. And
what?
We'll probably.
Oh, just kidding.
Did you not get the memo? And then we're looking for another ride, so we'll see what else might come along that we can go out and participate in. So that's yet to be determined, but I'm sure when we figure that out, you all will be the first to know.
Absolutely. The only thing I would say is, what was 2023?
2023 was a great year to ride a bike.
Absolutely. So,
but before we wrap it up, I wanted to talk about one thing real quick. And that is our New Year's Day.
Oh, yes.
New Year's Day, 12 o'clock, we are having a special show. And it is not just a special show because it's on New Year's. It is a special show because it's going to be awesome. We've got an exciting announcement to make, and you definitely want to listen to that show because it's going to be good.
It will be good. It's about. I'm just kidding.
Let me tell you all about. No, I can't do that.
I'll tell you what. In 17 days from today, we're recording this on December 15th. I'll tell you all about it. And if you're listening to this on the 24th, you only have a week to wait.
There you go.
So
it'll be a fun. It's going to be a great topic, a very interesting topic to a lot of people. And we have a special guest coming in. So we're going to start the New Year's off right.
It's going to be exciting.
Yes. So I just wanted to get that shameless plug in there. But 2023 was, in fact, a great year to ride a bike. And let us hope that 2024 is even a better year to ride a bike.
And you still haven't been replaced by...
I made it through the whole year without being replaced by AI. So
there you go.
It's a good year for me. Adam, it's been a great adventure this year. Fantastic rides. This podcast thing that we just started on the side to have some fun has really taken off, and I've had an enjoyable time sharing all of it with you. So I say thank you to you, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family.
And you as well. And I would end with, we got really lucky this year. We had no mechanicals, no flats, a little bit of a squeak in my bike, but you know what? It made it all the way. I held the bike above my head on the other side of Iowa. But we had a very lucky year, and hope 2024 is the same. So
absolutely.
All right. You have a great night.
Okay. See ya.
Thank you for coming along with Adam and Michael on Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure. If you have enjoyed this, please subscribe to the show on the podcast app of your choice.
Hey, we just wanted to remind you that we've got some really cool products at our Jersey and our swag store.
That's right. You can visit cyclingmenofleisure.com. At the top of the page, you'll find our stores page. Click there. There's 2 QR codes. The one on the left has a J on it. That's the store for the jerseys. The one on the right is just a swag store. Has all kinds of different items. Kind of customizable. You can kind of make the swag the way you want it. If the QR codes are giving you an issue, don't worry. Underneath, there's 2 buttons that you can click on. Thank you, and have a great day.